Recording in progress.
All right, welcome, my friends, to episode 740 of Extreme Health Radio. This is going to be a little different show today, just because I'm really interested in doing research on various subjects and different things going on. And I got a lot of questions recently about shingles, and I get a ton of questions about things like this, and I really want to do a research about them and then share what I learned with you guys. And in doing research on shingles, I found a lot of options and a lot of things that most people recommend. And I'm going to share with you some things that you've probably never heard before when it comes to shingles, and things that you probably never thought of, and things that I know just by experience doing the radio show and what I've been exposed to, but stuff that's not really recommended or even talked about. And I wanted to share this with you because shingles is a virus. And as you know, there's a lot of hysteria going on in the world today about viruses. So this doesn't necessarily only affect the shingles virus, but this affects all viruses. So I want to let you read between the lines when it comes to this. So if you have shingles or not, or if you've had any other kind of virus, you know what I'm talking about, or if you want to prevent that, then you're going to want to listen to some of the things I have to share in this show. So like I said, I've gotten a lot of requests to do this, and that is like share protocols of what I would do if I had a certain issue or a certain thing going on. And so I think I'm going to start doing something like extreme health protocols or something like that, and maybe put this information about these different things into like a PDF format. I'm not sure what I'm going to do, but I think I'm going to compile all of this stuff, because I'm going to do like one health condition a day and just share with you everything I know about it and what I would do in this situation. And of course, this isn't exhaustive, right? There's things that I probably never heard of before when it comes to this or any other health condition, but I'm going to share things that you've probably never heard before when it comes to shingles and other viruses. So shingles is crazy because I've gotten a lot of requests to do some information about this, but also it seems like a lot of people are coming down with shingles. Like, what's going on? How come all these people are coming down with shingles lately? And I think it has to do with a lot of different things. And so, like, in recent years, there's usually about a million cases of shingles per year. And what is shingles? It's just an infectious virus caused by the varicella-zoster virus. It's basically chicken pox. And so I want to share with you some things, all right? So the first thing is you want to strengthen your connective tissue. You probably thought I was going to say immune system. We'll get to that in a second. But basically, if you've ever had chicken pox, then you have this virus, okay? So I've had chicken pox when I was a kid. We used to have chicken pox parties, and it was no big deal, right? But it's the same virus, okay? And so why don't we have chicken pox now as an adult? Well, it's because of our immune system, and I'll get to that in a second. But basically, you have this immune system issue that's causing a breakdown of connective tissue. And so the reason why you have these blisters showing up on your skin is that your skin is the largest organ on the outside of your body, but it's compromised. It's not strong. So what I would do is I would increase my copper. I would increase my silica. There's a product called Organo Living Silica that you can purchase and take in liquid form, which I think is the best one. And I would increase my gelatin. I would make chicken feet broth. I would make broth from pig ears, because that kind of gelatin is way more powerful than just a regular bone broth that you get at the store. This stuff is really, really collagen rich. And copper is really important because it activates an enzyme called lysyl oxidase. And lysyl oxidase is what binds together or stitches together the amino acids to create strong connective tissue, gelatin and collagen, to really strengthen your connective tissue. So copper is really important, as well as creating energy in the body and allowing your body to deal with the inflammation from iron. And copper is necessary for immune system function to run at all. So copper can serve a lot of purposes. Listen to the show we did with Jason Hommel about how to make copper sulfate for like pennies per month. The other thing I would do to strengthen connective tissue is sulfur. So sulfur-rich foods. Sulfur is really important. You can get sulfur from MSM, methyl sulfonomethane, and you can take a couple teaspoons 3 times a day, and that's what I would do to strengthen your connective tissue, because these viruses are expressing in your skin, and when you have weakened connective tissue, this is why we have the shingles showing up on the skin, the blisters and things. Whole food vitamin C or ascorbic acid in this case, roughly about 1,000 milligrams 3 times a day minimum. I would probably double that or triple that. L-lysine is something else you want to do, 600 milligrams once or twice per day. And zinc, probably 200 milligrams per day is what I would do. And that will help strengthen your connective tissue as well as be antiviral as well. So that's what you want to do to start with, okay? So the strengthening your connective tissue so that these viruses don't express themselves in a weakened area of your body, namely your skin. So the other thing you want to do is you have immune suppression. And what does your immune system need to run and to be active? It needs energy, okay? So why don't we have enough energy? Well, a lot of the foods we consume deplete our energy. Our lifestyle depletes our energy. Lack of sleep, stress, all of these things deplete the body of energy, as well as the foods that we eat, not eating on time or not combining our food properly. There's a lot of things you can do to provide the body with more energy. What I would do is I would take methylene blue. I would do a full dropper if I were you. In this case, methylene blue. I use the brand Lifeblood, and that allows the body to make energy much more efficiently. It basically acts as a surrogate for oxygen, and it helps transport electrons along the electron transport chain in the mitochondria from complex 2 to complex 4. It skips complex 3, which is really interesting. We did an entire show on methylene blue, and it does so much for the body. Reduces oxidation, turns off the nitric oxide. There's a whole book about this called The Ultimate Guide to Methylene Blue by Mark Sloan that you can read about this. But it's a powerful substance, and it helps in so many ways: antiviral, antibacterial, antifungal, but also helps the body utilize oxygen better and create more ATP in complex 4 cytochrome C oxidase of the mitochondria. So methylene blue, I would do at least 3 full dropperfuls in 4 ounces of water 3 times a day. That's just me. I would do everything I can to lower my stress. Niacinamide would be really, really important. My friend Matt Blackburn sells that at MitoLife. If you want to grab some of that, I think that stuff, I would be on that immediately. And you can use a coupon code EHR15 if you want. Magnesium, you can't create energy without magnesium. So magnesium is required for 3,700 enzymes to function. It's insane. And it's required to make energy in the mitochondria. Without that, you cannot make energy. So magnesium is something that I would definitely do. And then I would do antivirals. So here's some things that you probably never heard before. One thing I would do is I would zap. Zapping is providing electrical current to your body. And you can go to a website called worldwithoutparasites.com and get the Terminator 2 zapper, which ends the life of viruses. How can I say that without getting banned, right? Zapping, look into it. Worldwithoutparasites.com. You can also use the silver pulsar, which is what I've upgraded to from Sota Instruments. And that's called the silver pulsar. And basically what that does is that applies 50 to 100 microamperes of electricity to the radial and ulnar arteries in your wrist. And all the blood of your entire body flows through your wrist. I forget the length of duration that is, but every 10 minutes or something like that. And you can basically essentially clean your blood that way. So really powerful stuff. This is basically a little tool device that you strap to your arm, and it sends electrical frequencies into your arm, into your wrist, and cleans your blood. So you can imagine that this would be good for anything, right? Flus, colds, anything like that. It's basically a way to clean your blood. The other thing that I would do is our Rife frequencies. Royal Raymond Rife, look into his work in the early 1900s, and you can learn about how frequencies basically can eliminate bacterias, parasites, fungus, mold, viruses, all of these things. So this is a counter resonant frequency to these things, and you can look up like the GB4000 machine. And these are machines that you could have on hand and you could use for literally almost any health condition. We use the True Rife machine, and there's other Rife machines that you can purchase. But this is technology that's been suppressed, and technology they don't want you knowing about for sure, because you can essentially get near these devices and they will emit these sound frequencies that resonate at the counter frequency of the virus itself. And they're constantly putting out new frequencies, and it's powerful, man. It's powerful. We did a whole show about Rife frequency technology. We've done many shows on this. And this is definitely a suppressed technology, and it's something that you could use and utilize in your own home for any number of things. So don't just look at it for something you'd get with shingles, but look at it as a tool that you can bring into your life and use as a preventative as well as a way to reverse chronic health issues. So Rife frequency is awesome. Olive leaf extract, obviously, that's going to be talked about. That's antiviral, it's antifungal, it's reduces oxidation in the body. Olive leaf extract is really key. So I would be on high doses of that. I would also do red light therapy. And we've done multiple shows on the benefits of red light on your mitochondria and ATP production and collagen production and its impact on copper and iron in the body. Red light therapy is something that could be used for multiple scenarios. But also, if you have shingles, I would definitely be applying red light therapy to that. The other thing that you could do is ozone therapy. Now, you can do this in a multitude of ways. You can do it, you can drink ozonated water without obviously breathing, but you can also do ozone insulfations, rectal insulfations, and you can do IV ozone, and you can apply ozonated olive oil to the actual shingles themselves. And that has been shown to be extremely powerful. So I'm going to share also a bunch of studies that I'd like to just read the headlines of, and I'll link to them in this episode as well for further information. So ozone therapy, look into that. Definitely. If you have an ozone machine, I would definitely utilize that. If you don't have an ozone machine, you can purchase them, the one that we sell on biochargeme.com, and you can utilize this in so many different ways. It's really a great tool to have for your family for multitudes of things. And so having some ozonated olive oil would be really powerful too. And you can make your own ozonated olive oil, or you can just buy that online as well. So like that'd be great for bee stings or cuts or abrasions. Really great stuff to have on hand in your medicine cabinet. Now, here's something that I know about, and other people know about. Tons of people know about this, but in researching the shingles virus, I didn't see any information on this. That is ultraviolet blood irradiation therapy. All right. So now we're getting into some more of the invasive things that you can do, like IV type of treatments. So when it comes to IV ozone, you can do IV ozone, ultraviolet blood irradiation. You can look up ultraviolet blood irradiation, the cure that time forgot. And essentially, that kills all viruses. So you can read between the lines, and you can go to a website like acam.org, acam.org, and find a practitioner, put in your zip code, and search, I think it's ultraviolet therapy maybe. And it's interesting because when you speak to a lot of the people that do this, which I have as a local guy in my area, he was telling me that he's had to remove those words from his website and he calls it something completely different, which totally sucks because people know the word ultraviolet blood or UBI in relation to natural treatments, and that's how they find practitioners. So when you remove those words from your website, you're not going to be found when people search those terms, obviously. But they've had to do that because of the government suppression of these types of treatments. So ultraviolet blood irradiation therapy, basically what it is, we've done entire shows on this, but basically what you do is you sit down for a 30-minute treatment and they extract blood from one arm. And I think in some places they may put it back into the other arm, or sometimes they'll do it back into the same arm. But basically the blood comes out of you and it passes through specific frequencies of light. And it basically captures the photons of those frequencies of light. And I think it's a blue frequency, if my memory is correct. And then what it does is it brings that photonic energy back into your body. So the blood comes back in your arm. And those photons go all throughout the body, oxidizing and shutting down viral replication and viruses in general. So you can read between the lines and know that if you can find a UBI practitioner in your area, you don't have to worry about any of this stuff. All the stuff you see on TV, all of that, gone. No worries at all. No problem. You ever come down with chickenpox, the mumps, the measles, viruses, whatever, shingles, no problem. Just find that practitioner, call them up, schedule a treatment, boom, 30 minutes, complete reversal. So that's really powerful to know about, right? So like I always say, knowledge eradicates fear. The only way they can control you is if they keep you without knowledge. That's why there's been so much censorship and suppression and hit pieces done on these types of treatments, because they don't want you to know that these things exist. Because if they did, their whole narrative would crumble. So it's really important to arm yourself with knowledge. That's why it's really awesome that you're listening to this podcast, because there's treatments for, and the thing is too, this treatment doesn't just work for viruses or shingles. It works for everything. People do it for extra cells growing on their skin or in their body. People do it for diabetes, for every health condition known. And so it's not like these things are just targeted to one particular thing. It kills the source of what's ailing you. The other thing you could do is IV ascorbic acid, vitamin C, which is a pro-oxidant. And in general, I don't recommend it, but man, oh man, can it be powerful. This was known in the early 1930s that IV vitamin C is the remedy for polio. And they knew these treatments existed. So you can look up in your area IV vitamin C or vitamin infusions or something, and you can find a practitioner that will do IV vitamin C, and boom, no need to worry at all. It acts very similarly to ultraviolet blood irradiation, but you could also do IV DMSO. Look into that. Look into Stanley Jacobs. Look into Dr. Morton Walker and read the book DMSO, Nature's Healer. I mean, this stuff is powerful, like so powerful. And isn't it interesting that our friend, Dr. Falsey, never mentioned IV vitamin C, never mentioned ultraviolet blood irradiation, never mentioned red light therapy, ozone therapy, right frequencies, zapping, never mentioned these things. Interesting, right? The other thing you could do is IV peroxide as well. And some practitioners that know about these treatments will do a combination of these or a series of these. So they might do like a peroxide treatment first, then they'll do an ozone treatment, and they'll follow that up with a UBI treatment. And so these are all very powerful oxidative therapies, just so you know. So it's important to make sure that you restore the body with antioxidants, with things that are electron donors. And there's things that you can do to mitigate that, but also, retinol and copper, these types of things will help utilize the oxygen in your body. So these are some things, even hyperbaric oxygen therapy as well. Like, you don't have to have a tank. These tanks are really, or these chambers are really expensive. You can just find a person in your area that does these things or has access to them. So just learn about IV vitamin C, IV DMSO, IV peroxide. These are all things you can utilize and tremendously. And so if I had shingles, I would be doing these therapies right away. I would buy Well, I do have a zapper. I have a Rife machine. I have a red light therapy device. I have an ozone machine. So it's important to invest in these tools in case you have things come up with you or your family that you can utilize and put to good use. Enzymes, really, really important. Not digestive enzymes, but enzymes, systemic proteolytic enzymes. And these things are really powerful. I take the ones from MitoLife, my friend, Matt Blackburn, who, by the way, has one of the best podcasts out there. Like, he's amazing. And his products are amazing at mitolife.co, and his podcast is amazing. If I can turn you on the one podcast, it would be him. And I love his work. And that's why I constantly talk about his products as they work, and his podcast, because it's great. It's amazing. So our coupon code on MitoLife, if you ever purchase, is EHR15. But I use the systemic enzymes from his website called Dissolve It All. And you'll find those to be extremely powerful. If you have shingles, I would take at least 10 before bed and 10 upon waking on an empty stomach, at the minimum. I would probably do even more than that. And so I mentioned before, ozonated olive oil, topically on the skin. And I think you can, if you search ozonated olive oil on iherb.com, or you could go to, I think they sell that on, I think Omica Organics might have some. Omica, OMICA organics.com. You might be able to find some on there. I think we have a coupon code for that website too, because we use their shower filters and some of their other products. Cold compress, that's generally recommended. You could do vitamin E topically as well, but I would do vitamin E internally, because vitamin E is an electron donor, and it's a chain-breaking antioxidant, which means it's going to reduce inflammation, which shingles is, and oxidation. And so vitamin E is really, really important. So I would do topically and internally as well. The other thing too that you can do topically is zinc oxide, and that would be really powerful to do as a topical as well as the ozonated olive oil. I'd probably mix those up and do them on opposite sides of the day. But another thing too is Jonathan Wright has some good information on B12 shots and combining B12 with vitamin B1 and doing injections for the shingles virus. So that would be something that I would do as well, or find a practitioner in your area. And then I would also do a shingles nosode, like a homeopathic shingles nosode. You can find those online as well, and that will help turn down the systemic inflammation. And also what I would do in terms of avoiding things, you want to avoid anything that causes inflammation, that is produces reactive oxygen species, that is going to cause an inflammatory response in your body, because your body's already dealing with massive amounts of this as well. So I would avoid nuts and seeds, because typically, depending on which ones, obviously, some of them are higher in arginine, and that happens to deactivate the zinc. So the zinc, I would want to make sure that that's utilized in your body. Okay, so some treatments that you can do are massage or acupressure. There's studies showing that acupuncture, acupressure, the acupressure you'd probably want to do on the opposite side of the body as well as the massage. Lymphatic drainage or lymphatic massages would be really powerful for you. And you could do things like skin brushing or rebounding, which is really great for lymphatic drainage, but that may be a little bit difficult to do if you have a wide case of shingles sort of spread throughout your body. So that might be a bit difficult, but you can get lymphatic drainage massages too that I think would be really, really helpful. Some people mention, I've read, where apple cider vinegar topically can alter the skin pH and help you deal with some of the pain. Especially if you apply it at the beginning of the outbreak. And if some of the pustules are broken, if the skin is broken, you don't want to use the ACV because it's really going to burn. And using it at the beginning of the outbreak would be most beneficial. But you could also do certain types of like therapeutic baths too. Like you could do molecular hydrogen in your bath. You could do a carbon dioxide bath. It's amazing, right? Did you know you could do a carbon dioxide bath, CO2 bath? I mean, it's amazing. And you could look into Dr. Ray Peat on that, and you can basically bathe in carbon dioxide, which would be something I would do if I had shingles. But you could do regular baths. You know, you could add some molecular hydrogen to it if you have an AquaCure machine, which is an electron donor, which would help reduce oxidation and inflammation inside the body, which is what's going on with shingles. But if you don't have one of those machines, you can do like an apple cider vinegar magnesium bath, or you could do a couple cups of Epsom salt and a couple cups of baking soda. These things will all really, really help with the shingles as well. But something I forgot to mention too, melatonin has been known to be antiviral. I don't typically recommend it, but there are times where you need medicine. And, you know, doing something like 3 to 10 milligrams of melatonin before bed has been shown to be extremely powerful in terms of its effect on viral replication. But also, I forgot to mention this too, propolis or honey topically, preferably raw because it has the enzymes in it. And you can apply the honey to the skin. So there's lots of different things I mentioned that you can apply to the skin for those blisters, like the ozonated olive oil, the honey, the propolis, you know, the zinc oxide, the vitamin E. And so those are some things that you can look at. These are all good things to have on hand anyway. But I'm telling you guys, if you do all this, this will dramatically decrease the amount of time that you're dealing with shingles and or any virus. But it will also lessen the sting, because it's my understanding, I've had chickenpox, I've never had shingles, but it's my understanding it could be extremely painful because of how it attaches to the nerve endings, and I'm hearing that it could be extremely painful for people, which would make sense why those B12 shots would be extremely powerful for that. But also, in my research, I've learned that herpes zoster actually hangs out in the stomach. And so if you have herpes, most likely you have low stomach acid. And some of the other causes of herpes could be previous vaccines, chemotherapy, statins. These types of things are causative factors of why people get shingles, or having a lowered immune system, which causes shingles to come back, because basically we have this virus in our body all the time. And so you may want to take notes of some of the information that I shared on today's show, but I'm going to share some other information as well when it comes to shingles. And I'm just going to read, you know, some headlines, and I'll share these studies if you like. Acupuncture for improving a case of widespread herpes zoster after non-Hodgkin's lymphoma chemotherapy. And like I said before, chemo and radiation tend to be implicated in the outbreak of herpes. I'm sorry, not herpes, shingles. All right, so we got another study here. What does this one say? Declining exogenous exposure to varicella-zoster's virus has caused waning cell immunity, leading to protection that is neither lifelong nor complete. Moreover, there's been a dramatic rise in the incidence of adult shingles. And I think it's up 32% since the early 1990s, and even more recently. Here we go. Electroacupuncture bloodletting and cupping is demonstrated to be superior to Western medical therapy in treating herpes zoster. So if you're unfamiliar with what cupping is, then I would encourage you to look into that. In fact, there's a product where you could do cupping at home, and I'm going to be purchasing that here pretty soon. And if it's good and if it works, I'm going to offer it on our store. But it combines heat and red light therapy along with the cupping as well. So that could be something good. But bloodletting, why bloodletting? Well, because a suppressed immune system means inflammation is rising, which means the cause of inflammation is iron overload and heavy metals and polyunsaturated fatty acid consumption, toxic rancid oils, in combination with oxygen. So we have this iron fortification project. So what I would do is if you're able to do a blood donation, that would be really helpful for lowering the amount. You can get rid of roughly 250 milligrams of iron in about 15 minutes. Herpes zoster incidence has increased 39% since 2002. Here we go. Intravenous ascorbic acid may have beneficial effects on herpes zoster associated pain, dermatologic findings, and accompanying common complaints. So this is IV ascorbic acid, which is what I mentioned before. Here we go. Pricking blood therapy combined with ultraviolet irradiation has rapid therapeutic effect, effectively shortens duration of illness, decreases the incidence rate in post-herpetic neuralgia, and is a safe remedy for the treatment of herpes zoster. Not just herpes zoster, but every known virus in the world. So no need to be worried about any viruses, my friends, when you know about ultraviolet blood irradiation. All right, so next study, and I'll share all these at extremehealthradio.com/740. All right, propolis may have therapeutic effects against herpes zoster infection. That's another abstract here. So propolis, statins increase the risk of herpes zoster. So if you're on statins medication. And here, what's interesting is here's a study showing about it says here the study identified 14,641 adverse events associated with the second dose of the varicella vaccine, including anaphylaxis, meningitis, encephalitis, cellulitis, chickenpox, herpes zoster, and deaths. So think twice before you vaccinate, my friends. Topical ozone therapy in patients with herpes zoster is helpful in relieving pain. So topical, that means you can do the ozone gas topically if you're able to bag your arm, for example, or you could do ozonated olive oil topically. That would be very helpful. Here we go. Broadband ultraviolet B phototherapy in zoster's patients may reduce the incidence and severity of post-therapeutic neuralgia. UVB phototherapy in the acute stage of herpes of zoster rash might reduce the incidence of severity of PHN. Treatment after 3 months. This is amazing, guys. It's amazing. Enzyme therapy, an alternative in treatment to herpes zoster control study of 192 patients. So these are some things that you can do for shingles or any virus. And I recommend that you take the time to learn about these things and to bring some of these devices like the red light therapy device, like an ozone machine, like what else? Ozonated olive oil, a zapper, right? Or a Rife machine. You know, these types of things are really important. So here's what I would do, just in general, going back. You want to strengthen the connective tissue, everything I mentioned before, so that your skin is strong. You want to provide energy to the body, right? Methylene blue, niacinamide, magnesium. You want to lower stress. You want to focus on sleep because that's how you make energy. You want a food combined so that your body doesn't utilize all the energy digesting food. And you want to lower your stress so that you can have all that energy to be able to deal with this virus. And then I would do antivirals, zapping, Rife machines, olive leaf extract, red light therapy, ozone, ultraviolet blood, IV vitamin C, DMSO, peroxide, ozonated olive oil, vitamin E, possibly B1 and B12 shots, melatonin. I would avoid foods high in arginine and consider lymphatic drainage, lymphatic massage, acupuncture, and doing some medicinal baths. So if you do those things and do all the minerals like I mentioned, you don't have to worry about shingles or any other virus. So that's your homework. Go to acam.org and schedule an appointment. Find someone in an area that does ultraviolet, that does IV ozone, or buy an ozone machine. You know, just have these tools on hand so that you can treat your family, so that you can treat, yourself. Because the last thing you want to do is go to a doctor and get put on a vaccine. You don't want to do that, right? Not when you know there's solutions out there to not just prevent these things, but turn them around if they ever come into your family or into your life. So that's my message, is to just educate yourself and invest in things that are going to help you. Invest in things and tools that you can bring into your home, that you can turn your home into a healing center, right? So you don't have to worry about being put on, vaccines or, antibiotics or drugs or medications, anything like that. You can treat all this stuff at home. So I would really highly encourage you to use your extra money to purchase some of these machines, a rice machine, an ozone machine. I mean, these are really powerful, molecular hydrogen, so that your home could be a place to heal. And if anything ever comes up, you know what to do. Um, so that's your homework, is to start researching some of these tools, find a practitioner area that does these IV natural treatments, UBI, ozone, peroxide, DMSO, and start learning about some of these things. And I'm telling you, if you do all these things topically that I mentioned, and you do some of these treatments like UBI and stuff, in my opinion, it'll either get rid of it and knock it out almost immediately, or dramatically lessen the amount of time that you're dealing with these symptoms. So that's my message. I hope you enjoyed this show. I'm going to do more like this because I really think that there's some things that I can share that, most people aren't talking about, and, provide some information that might help you guys, because I didn't see anything on molecular hydrogen or red light therapy or strengthening the connective tissue. I didn't see anything online about ultraviolet blood or radiation therapy, even though I found it in the research. I didn't see anything on ozone, but yet most is like, put a cold compress on yourself, do some magnesium. It's such basic information, when the information that I'm sharing could just reverse this in a matter of hours, possibly. So that's my message. I hope you enjoyed this podcast. I'm going to do more like this. Like I mentioned, I want to do like little short podcasts on all kinds of things, and maybe call it like extreme health protocols or something. I'm considering putting this into like a PDF format and linking off to the products or something like that. And maybe over time compiling all of this information into like a database where you could look up like gray hair or diabetes, or, what to do for a cut or shingles, or, cancer, and heart disease, and just sharing some of the stuff that most people aren't talking about. And hopefully it might be helpful. I might compile that all into like a thing and provide that for you guys in some way. I'm not sure, but maybe that could be something where I could get your input and you could let me know if you think that's a good idea. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed this show. If you want to support the work that we do, that would be awesome. I would appreciate that. There's a lot of different ways you can do it. So if you want to write us a review on iTunes, that'd be cool. I'd appreciate that. A good review, hopefully. Or you could shop, like if you buy on Amazon, you could go through our link. We have a link on our homepage, Extreme Health Radio, and you just click on that. Or if you follow us on Instagram, we have a link on our bio for that as well. Let's see. If you want to purchase good products, go to our store, biochargeme.com. And that's a great way to, buy some products. And when you click over to the vendor, we'll get commission for your sale. And that's a great way to support the work that we do. So on BioCharge.me, we have blenders, juicers, rebounders, rife machines, red light therapy devices, all kinds of stuff. Molecular hydrogen machines. We have everything on biochargeme.com, and we're going to be updating that here pretty soon as well. Devices, we have tools, we have EMF protection devices, we have supplements like MitoLife and Lifeblood, the methylene blue I mentioned, all of that. So go through our store, biochargeme.com, for any health tools or anything like that if you want to support the work that we do, and if it helps you in some way. I would greatly appreciate that. Our coupon code for MitoLife is EHR15. That's where I get the systemic enzymes and the vitamin E, as well as the niacinamide. EHR15, and the Lifeblood methylene blue, our code is EHR10 on that. And so that's some good resources for you, and other ways that you can support us. Oh, we have an academy. I forgot to mention, Extreme Health Academy. So I'm live there every Friday morning sharing. Today we went for 2 hours and we talked about a lot of cool stuff. German new medicine. We talked about oxidation. We talked about high copper. We talked about a lot of cool things. Every Friday I'm live, and we have courses and workshops in there, and we have a forum in there as well. So if you want to join the Extreme Health Academy, that would be awesome. I'd love to have you. And that's more of a group coaching type of thing. And I think in the future, I'm going to offer one-on-one consulting, but I have to figure out how I'm going to do that and in what capacity, because I'm pretty busy. But it would be nice to work individually with people and see your results and kind of share in your victories and your wins. I think that would be kind of rewarding for me. But I don't have time. I've got twin boys, 4 years old. So time is at a premium. So I might open that up for just a few people and see how that goes in the coming months, if that's something that interests you. Until then, the Extreme Health Academy would be the place to go. If you sign up to our newsletter, you get presented with an offer. It's a one-time offer, and it's basically a thank you for joining our newsletter. And you'll see the offer as it relates to joining the Extreme Health Academy. It's a pretty significant offer that I can't really say here in public because a lot of people listen to this show, and I want to, make it fair for the members who are members already. But it's a pretty significant offer. So if you join our newsletter, we send out emails like once a week, I think every Tuesday. And then if there's like a sale on MitoLife or, a product launch or something like that, something big, like if we're going to do a sauna sale or something like that, we might email another time in a week. But, 2 a week sometimes, but mostly just once a week. And you'll get access to our past shows, upcoming shows, all that good stuff. So make sure to join our newsletter. You get access to that offer to the Extreme Health Academy. And then once a week on Tuesday, we send you emails. That's it. And that's a great way to support the work that we do and consider getting some of the products that we recommend. And that's how we do it. And so we're keeping everything free. And just, if you know of anyone that is dealing with shingles or is, dealing with chickenpox, or maybe they're worried about viruses in general, send them this show, extremehealthradio.com/740. That's the URL for today's code, 740. So I think that about wraps it up. Thank you for listening. I appreciate you guys so much, and I hope to see you on Instagram. Follow us on Instagram too, because that's where I'm most active. I post mostly in our stories there as well. And in our stories, I share studies like this, about things that you are not really hearing about, like the dangers of vitamin D, for example, the dangers of fish oil. I'm sharing studies about all kinds of stuff in my research. And I'm also sharing videos of our family when we go to the beach, our gardening, our fruit trees that we're growing, our twin boys. I post fire memes on there. Like the memes I share on there, I think are pretty funny. And I really think they're awesome. But I just share a lot of cool stuff on Instagram stories. So follow us there, Extreme Health Radio 2. You can see us there, Extreme Health Radio 2, because they banned our last account because we spoke too much truth. So anyway, extremehealthradio.com/740 is where I'll put links to everything we talked about. Love you guys all. Thank you so much for joining us. And we'll catch you guys on the next episode.